Thor, Love and Thunder. Once again, Taika Waititi has re-teamed with the God of Thunder, Chris Hemsworth, to bring us another outing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Thor. And Thor, Mighty Thor, Natalie Portman coming back as Jane Foster once again together to cause some trouble and damage across the galaxies.
Yes, so when the movie starts, I feel like it's kind of rocky, but not in the Korg way. And it feels like we're just kind of going through the motions of just, starting the movie, figuring out what's going on. And then it really finds its footing like halfway through the movie, and you're kind of like really invested in what's going on. And you're like, oh my God, I feel like Taika did a really good job when it came to the seriousness of what was happening with some of the characters. I think that Christian Bale is probably one of the better villains that we've seen so far in the MCU. Just the way of what he's trying to accomplish. And it's very sinister, and I like the way that it was set up as far as like the camera style and the cinematography. It was a lot of fun.
Visually, it is stunning. It is incredible to look at. Gore the God Butcher is one of my favorite villains, and Christian Bale knocks it out of the park. Now, granted, the beginning of the movie is very heavy in the setup of who Gore the God Butcher is. That part we love, right. But there is a high-speed, fast-forward moment of just catching everybody up to speed that I feel is really no different than the trailers that we got for this movie. And we figured that would end up happening, but one thing that I didn't anticipate was the level of heart and emotion and, like you said, kind of sadness that there is when it comes to these characters and certain beats in this movie. They do take it very serious at times, to the point where it did really throw me for a loop because of how much comedy is actually in the movie. Heavy-handed, it is Ragnarok 2.0.
Right, and I feel like maybe it's a little too much, but at the same time it helps elevate the stronger points of the movie, because then you're invested in what's going on in that. But then there are times where I feel like it stops because of the humor, and it goes on a little too much. Sure. And there were times where I was just kind of shaking my head like, okay, this is a choice, but sure, if you want to go that route. But I feel like the stronger points and the more emotional points of the movie overshadowed those points, so I'm okay with it.
And of course, like we said already, we'll keep talking about it, the visuals, the lighting, the choices made for the aesthetic of this movie, especially when it came to the villains and those that are actually working with Gore the God Butcher. Right. Those are actually badass, and it's something that I feel like we haven't seen in the MCU when it comes to something frightening, something as a child that would actually scare me if I was a kid. Not in the sense of watching it in the movie, but as an entity in this, frightening Marvel universe. Those children should be terrified of these beings that exist. So very something wicked this way comes about this movie that just strike the nerve with me from my childhood of things that actually frighten me, and I actually like that for this story.
I feel like this movie plays very well into kind of the themes that we've been seeing in Phase 4 when it comes to grief, when it comes to loss, and this falls right into that. Yeah, you might think oh, well, it's going to be a Taika Waititi movie, so you're going to get the fun, you're going to get the silliness. They're there, but it is very heavy on that grief and loss too, which, it does tug at your heartstrings and stuff. And I really enjoyed, so in the other movie, or in the original Thor movie, and Thor, The Dark World, I feel like the relationship between Jane and Thor, the chemistry felt like it wasn't really there. But in this movie, I feel like you really can see that relationship kind of fester again in their hearts. And
Foster?
There we go.
Her last name?
I know.
You went Fester instead, which is essentially what Gore's bringing to the party.
But, yeah, true. But I think that there's more chemistry between Natalie Portman and Chris in this one. When it comes to between the two characters, that I'm like, oh, awesome. Okay, that's cool.
The score, Michael Giacchino coming in to do this score, and I feel like we just saw him multiple times in other movies, Jurassic World Dominion being the most recent. And I do feel like the soundtrack was great, the score kind of lacking in my opinion.
There are moments though where the score is very part of the ambiance that you're looking for when it comes to the scary, gritty parts, and I was just like, okay, this is cool. This is what I want to see. But there aren't any standout songs or part of the score that I'm like, oh, I got to go back and listen to that on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you listen to music.
There are moments in the score that feel like it could warrant the use of the Thor theme that was created by Patrick Doyle, utilized by Mark Mothersbaugh in Ragnarok, but nowhere to be found in this one. It's like these characters have specific themes that I just don't understand. Again, I'm going to talk about it every time Giacchino does a score. He just feels like he's purposely leaving these out, and I don't understand where you have a character like Thor who has that theme show up at least once in his films, that you would just throw it out and try and create a whole new theme for that character. It's one of my gripes when it comes to these movies, but I understand everybody wants to do their own thing when it comes to composing these films. I ain't the one doing it, and I'll sit there and listen to it either way on the way home from the theater.
And remember, as always, there are going to be 2 post-credit scenes, one in the mid and one at the end. One of them had me clapping.
Audible.
Yeah, like I was
Audible
like,
cheers.
like I was so excited.
Mid-credit
Was great. The post-credit was good too. Like it felt like a good send-off.
Sure.
But yeah, it was great.
It's definitely a great way to end this film.
Yeah.
But guys, thank you so much for checking out our non-spoiler review for Thor: Love and Thunder. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. You can also like and subscribe.
And did a thing on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Discord.
All the social networking gin joints, you know where they are. Kick into the party, fuel the party, keep the party going on our Patreon. Thank you so much, and as always,
Now it's time to say goodbye.
this party is over.
Bye.
Bye.